Good morning. Today is the 30 March and it is Sunday. Now we are going to move on to the next exercise. The next exercise is on page number 138. Page number 138, right? But the topic is same. The topic is same. We are in the previous video we have seen the graph of our quadratic equation in the factored form. This next exercise, the new exercise, completely belongs to graph of quadratic equation in the factored form. So this is completely for factored form of quadratic equation. That means we are now going to go into detail of the factored form of quadratic equation. You will not find anything new. Everything will be same only. Already we have discussed all the points regarding factored form of quadratic equation. So we will take this new exercise as a revision. This will give you very good exercise. By the end of this exercise, I am confident that everybody will be fully comfortable in the factored form of quadratic equation, and this is the most important form of quadratic equation for class 10 students because the question mostly comes from the factored form. Alright, so I have taken the first question. In the first question there are 5 equations, right? Now we have to do the complete task. We are going to do the complete task for each quadratic equation in the factored form. What is the meaning of complete task? When we deal with the factored form of quadratic equation, first of all we do the algebraic calculation. We find the value of the x-intercept, which is also called as the zeros. Number 1, calculate x-intercepts, or we call it as zeros. Number 2, then we calculate the vertex. And number 3, we calculate the Y-intercept. So after these 3 calculation, then we get 4 set of ordered pair, and that 4 set of ordered pair we plot on the graph, and then we get the graph. Clear? Now when you plot the graph, you get it as a parabola because the graph of a quadratic equation is a parabola. Your parabola will be facing upward or can be facing downward, right? Now the vertex, you know the x-intercept. First of all, x-intercept. X-intercept means this parabola will cut the horizontal axis, that is the x-axis, at 2 points. So those 2 points are called as the x-intercept, or we call them as zeros. Alright. Then next one is vertex. Vertex is the minimum point, or if it is facing up downward, then the maximum point. Right? Minimum point or the maximum point of the parabola is called as the vertex. And the third one is the y-intercept. Your parabola cuts the vertical axis, that is the y-axis, at 1 point, and that point is called as the y-intercept. So we know the physical meaning of the 3 terms, right? We also know how to do all this calculation, but once again we will go into more detail. So first, part A of this question is state the zeros and the y-intercept. That means first, in the first step, we are going to calculate the zeros. This is zeros. Zeros means x-intercept. You are going to get zeros, and then you are going to calculate the y-intercept. So we will do it one by one. Okay. First of all, I will show you the zeros. Clear? And then we will calculate y-intercept. Intercept for each of this equation. Is this correct? This 0 is also called as x-intercept. Please be mindful. Intercept. So either you call it as zeros or you call this as y-intercept. Both are same. Is this okay? So I will make this into column so that it will become very clear for you. Now, first of all, we will start with the first equation. The first equation. We will calculate the zeros of this polynomial. Zeros means x-intercept. X-intercept means on x-axis. On x-axis means y is 0. Clear? X-intercept means on x-axis. So the value of y on x-axis is always 0. Means whenever we calculate the zeros or the x-intercept, we have to know that the y has to be 0. So by assuming y as equal to 0, we will be able to get the zeros or the x-intercept of the polynomial. Is this very clear? So every time for calculating this zeros, we will assume this fx to be 0. That this fx is y. So always this fx will be 0. Okay, fx will be 0. Now please remember this. For calculating the zeros or the x-intercept, you will always take this fx as equal to 0. For every equation, we will take fx as equal to 0. Clear? And by assuming this fx as equal to 0, you will get the x-intercept, or we call it as 0. Right? With this, now I am going to begin. So when I take this as equal to 0, that means this part also will be equal to 0. Right? When this part is equal to 0, clear? Then we can get the two values of x. When you equate this to 0, then this will give you one value of x and this will give you another value of x. Already I have shown you the calculation in the previous video, and I don't have so much of a space because I have to do so many questions. So I'm not going to show you the calculation, but you will be able to understand from the previous video. So in brief, I am writing the value of the two x-intercepts. So one x-intercept, this will be x plus 2 is equal to 0, and therefore your x will be equal to negative 2. Right? So one value of x you are getting from here is as x equal to minus 2. Another value of x you will get from this factor, and this will be x is equal to 3. X is equal to 3. So this is how we get the x-intercept for this given polynomial. What did we do? Again I am reminding you what we have done to find out the 0 or the y-intercept, x-intercept for any equation is always we will take fx as equal to 0. When you take this, fx is on the left hand side. So when fx is equal to 0, that means the right hand side also is equal to 0. Right? So after this, in the next step, you are equating this equal to 0. And therefore, you are getting the two answers. One by equating this to 0 as equal, and then you get x is equal to minus 2. Then you equate this equal to 0 and you get the value of x as equal to 3. So this is done for this equation. Clear? Now for this equation, again to find out the zeros or the x-intercept, what I told you repeatedly I am telling you, for finding the zeros or the x-intercept for any equation, quadratic equation in the factor form, we take fx as equal to 0. So this fx as equal to 0 we are going to take for all this equation. And therefore this part will be equated to 0. So from when you equate this part equal to 0, you will get two solutions. One you will get from here, another you will get from here. Therefore the two x-intercept for this question will be x1 will be positive 5, because x minus 5 is equal to 0. So minus 5 will go to that side, will become plus 5. And when you equate this to 0, then this x plus 5 will be equal to 0. And therefore x will be equal to minus 5. So your another x-intercept is minus 5. Hope this is giving you a clear picture. Now let us take this one. For this equation, again for finding the zeros, fx is taken as equal to 0. And therefore this will be equated to 0. The product of these two will be equated to 0. After that, in the next step, this will be equated to 0. You will get one value of x. Then this will be equated to 0. You will get another value of x. Okay. So when you equate this to 0, 2x plus 3, for this I am showing you the calculation. This is equal to 0. Right? What will happen? Is 2x is equal to, now 3 will go to that side, will become negative 3. And therefore, your final one of the x-intercept will be negative 3 over 2. So this become your one of the x-intercept. This x-intercept you got from the first factor. Another factor is 4x plus 2. 4x plus 2. From here you will get another pair of factor when you equate this part equal to 0. One by one we are equating this both equal to 0 in order to get the value of x. So this implies 4x will be equal to negative 2, and therefore your x is equal to negative 2 over 4. This implies your x is equal to negative 2 over 4, And when you reduce this, when you simplify this, it comes as equal to minus half. Is it okay? So for the Roman number 3, you got the one x-intercept as this one, and then this as the another x-intercept. Clear? Okay. Now for equation number 4. For equation number 4, again find out the same thing. First of all, we are calculating the zeros or the x-intercept for all the equation, because when we do these things repeatedly, then your doubt will clear forever. Again, for this equation, I am going to take this fx as equal to 0, and when this fx is equal to 0, that means the right hand side also will be equal to 0. Now when you equate this to 0, okay, in the first step, 3 will go to the other side. It will be like this. I'll change the color. This implies, what I'm going to do is, because fx is taken as equal to 0, therefore right hand side also will be taken as equal to 0. So 3 into x minus 2 into x plus 2, and this is equal to 0. Now from here what we will do is, first of all this 3 will go to the other side. When 3 goes to the other side, it will go as a divisor. 0 divided by any number, the result will be 0. Am I very clear? Is this very clear? And after this, I have less space, I am directly giving you the value. Then this will give you one value of x, and this will give you another value of x, because now this 3 is gone. This 3 will be moved to the other side, okay, which will turn into 0. So we will be left with x minus 2 into x plus 2 is equal to 0. And therefore, you will get one solution of x as equal to 2 from this x minus 2, and from x plus 2 you will get another value of x as equal to minus 2. So this became the 2 x-intercept of your this equation. And this Roman number 5 is similar, right? So here also when you find out the x-intercept, every time you are taking this fx as equal to 0, that means this right hand side also will be taken as equal to 0, right? Fx as equal to 0, this right hand side is equal to 0, which is minus 2 into x plus 1 into x plus 2 is equal to 0. After this, I am not showing the calculation because we have done this already in the previous video. Now after this, when you are calculating, I am explaining you verbally. When you are solving this equation, minus 2 will go to the other side. This is a number outside the bracket will go to that side, because we want only the 2 factor. Okay, so minus 2 goes to the right hand side. 0 divided by minus 2. I told you 0 divided by any number, positive number, negative number, or any decimal number. 0 divided by any number, the result will be always 0. That means after this step, you will be left with x plus 1 into x plus 2 is equal to 0. So from x plus 1 you will get one value of x, and from x plus 2 you will get the another value of x, and therefore your 2 x-intercepts will be minus 1 and minus 2. So with this 5 question, I am pretty sure that you have clearly understood how to find the zeros or the x-intercept for any quadratic equation in the factored form. This is my assumption. And this assumption is not just like that, because we have done enough number of questions of factored form of quadratic equation, right? And in today's video only, these are the 5 questions. After this also we will do some more questions. Now for the same function, now we are going to find out the y-intercept. Y-intercept. Now what we need to know is, what is the meaning of y-intercept? Y-intercept means point on the y-axis. That point where the parabola cuts the y-axis. Your parabola cuts the y-axis at one point, and that point is called as the y-intercept. Because that point is on y-axis, therefore the value of x will be 0. Value of x will be 0. That means now what we have understood is, whenever I need to calculate the value of y-intercept, I will assume x as equal to 0. By assuming x as equal to 0, we will be able to get the value of y-intercept. This is the key. This is the key to calculate the y-intercept. This is fx is equal to 0 is the key to calculate the x-intercept or the zeros. We have to remember these keys. Is this okay? So now we are going to calculate the y-intercept for all these equations. Clear? So first of all, I am going to calculate the y-intercept for this one. So for this equation, for this function, we will calculate the y-intercept by taking x as equal to 0. So let me do that. I am going to calculate y-intercept. by taking x is equal to 0. So put the value of x as 0 in the equation. So 0 plus 2 into 0 minus 3. 0 plus 2 is 2 and 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Product of this is minus 6. Clear? Done. Finished. That's all. This much only we have to do for finding the y-intercept. So what we did to calculate the y-intercept? We have assumed x is equal to 0 and then we have calculated the value of y. This fy is actually y. Many times I told you, in the function fx is y, fx is y, fx is y, all these are y, all these are y, because it is in the function form. That is why we are writing it in this style. Okay, otherwise actually this is y. Alright, so this is x and this is the value of your y. So these two together will give you one ordered pair. After this you know how to plot the ordered pair. Now the next equation. For this equation we are going to find the y-intercept. Again I will take x as equal to 0 in this one. So we are going to calculate y-intercept by taking x equal to 0. Put it in the equation. 0 minus 5 and 0 plus 5. Clear? We have put the value of x in this one. 0 minus 5 and 0 plus 5. So 0 minus 5 is minus 5. 0 plus 5 is plus 5. Therefore the answer of this two is negative 25. So for this equation, the y-intercept is the pair of number. That pair of number is what? 0 and minus 25. 0 and minus 25. Alright. Now let us see for the equation number 3. Equation number 3. Now we are going to find out the y-intercept from this equation. So once again we will take x as equal to 0. Put it here in this equation. So f at 0 is equal to, let us put the value of x as equal to 0. So 2 into 0 plus 3. So 2 into 0. This point means multiplication. Plus 3 into 4x plus 2. So 4 into 0 plus 2. This is equal to 2 into 0, 0. Plus 3, 3. 4 into 0, 0. Plus 2, 2. 3, 2 is a 6. So for equation number 3, the y-intercept is the pair of number. And that pair of number is x equal to 0 and y is equal to 6. We always use this number to make them pair. For first equation, the pair is 0 and minus 6. For the second equation, the pair is 0 and minus 25. For the third equation, the pair is 0 and 6. Clear? Now for equation number 4. Let us find the y-intercept. Again every time x is equal to 0. Now put it here. 3 into 0 minus 2. 3 into 0 minus 2 into 0 plus 2 into 0 plus 2. Right? This is 3, this is negative 2 and this is positive 2 into 2. So 3 to the 6, 6 to the 12, and because the product is negative, so minus 12. So for this equation, number 4, your y-intercept is the pair of number. That pair is 0 and minus 12. Now the last, fifth function. For this also we will calculate the y-intercept. f0 is equal to, now minus 2, 0 plus 1 and 0 plus 2. 0 plus 2. Now 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 2 is 2. So 2 into 2, 4. Minus 4. This is your final answer. Is this very clear? To make it very more clear, I will draw a line. This above this will belong to first part. This is for second part. This is for third equation. This is for fourth equation. And the last one is for the fifth equation. I gave you this in a tabular form. So from this part we have understood how to calculate the zeros or the y-intercept for the quadratic equation in the factored form. Clear? Now a quick summary of about the graph of our quadratic equation in the factored form. When we are asked to plot the graph of a quadratic equation in the factored form, there are three things we are calculating. Number one is the x-intercept, which we also call as the zeros. Now you need to know, you must know how to calculate the zeros or the x-intercept of a polynomial. Number two is the vertex. Number two is the vertex. And number three is the Y-intercept. So out of these three things, if we have done these three things, we are able to plot the graph. And we will be able to give answer of any question regarding the graph. Out of these three things, in this question we have learned two things. X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Now after this 5 questions, you might have very clearly understood how to find the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. Is this okay? Now regarding this 5 equation, in the part B, we are asked to now calculate the coordinate of the vertex. Look here. If in part A, we have done a good amount of practice of calculating the zeros and the Y-intercept. And in the part B, now the question is asking us to also calculate the vertex of all these equations. Is it okay? So by calculating the vertex, then we will become completely equipped with all the three information and we will be ready to plot the graph. Okay. So here itself I will try to give you the vertex. Now vertex. How do we calculate the vertex? You have already seen this in the previous video. Vertex is the second step. If you see in the sequence, the first step is calculating the x-intercept. Second step is calculating the vertex. And third step, the last step is calculating the Y-intercept. Isn't it? So here in this we are done with step 1 and step 3. Now step 2 was missing. Now in the part B, they are asking us to find out the step 2, that is to calculate the vertex for each of this quadratic equation in the factored form. So we are going to see now calculating the vertex of the quadratic equation in the factored form. Okay, are you all ready? For the vertex, we require the coordinate of the zeros. We require the zeros. For calculating the vertex, the requirement is 0. We have to know the requirement. From here you have seen what was the requirement for calculating the 0. The requirement for calculating the 0 or the x-intercept is fx is equal to 0. Fx is equal to 0 is the requirement. Similarly, for calculating the y-intercept, the requirement is x is equal to 0. Likewise, we have also a requirement for calculating the vertex. And the requirement for calculating the vertex is the x-intercept, the value of the x-intercept. If you have the x-intercept, we can find out the vertex. We can find the vertex. Is this very clear? So, now I am going to show you calculating the coordinate of the vertex. Alright, now part B, we are going to look into question number 1B. Part B, same functions, and now we are asked to calculate. Already we have calculated the x-intercept and the y-intercept for all these equations, right? We have already calculated. Now what we can do is we are asked to calculate now the coordinate of the vertex. Now for the coordinate of the vertex, what is the requirement? You have already seen that there was some requirement for calculating the x-intercept. There was some requirement for calculating the y-intercept. Likewise, we also have requirement for calculating the coordinate of the vertex. So, what are those requirements? The requirement for calculating the coordinate of the vertex is, first of all, you need to have the 2 x-intercept. You need to have the 2 x-intercept. That is why you can see in the whatever we have calculated the values of x-intercept that I have written here. The final result, the x-intercepts are all reflected here, right? These are all the x-intercepts which we have calculated just now. Clear? So we will use these x-intercepts for finding the x value of the vertex. For calculating the coordinate of the vertex, we need to calculate the x and we need to calculate the y. Is this okay? For calculating the coordinate of vertex, we need to have the first find the value of x and then we will find the value of y. This fx is always y. Repeatedly, many times I told you, fx will be seen as y. So x is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So we will use this formula and we'll find the value of x for this vertex. So x value of the vertex can be calculated by using this formula, and the y value of this vertex can be calculated by using the original formula. That is why I am writing this as fx, right? So in the original equation, we will put the value of x, which we calculate from here. So the value which is calculated from here will be used in the original equation, and then that will give you the y coordinate of your vertex. Is it okay? Shall I repeat once again? Okay, I will repeat. For finding the coordinate of the vertex, you need to calculate the value of x for the vertex. X of the vertex will be calculated by finding the average of these two x-intercept. Average of these two x-intercept to calculate, we will add the 2 and divide by 2. Every time you add the 2, divide by 2. Add the 2, divide by 2. Add the 2, divide by 2. And that's how we will be calculating the x value for your vertex. And after the x value of the vertex is calculated, that value of x will be substituted in the original equation, and we will get the value of y. And that's how the task will be completed. So I am going to show you the calculation now. So according to this x-intercept, the x value of this vertex will be x is equal to negative 2 plus 3 divided by 2. Clear? And this is minus 2 plus 3 is 1. 1 divided by 2 is 1 over 2. This cannot be reduced anymore. So this becomes the value of your, this is the x value of your vertex. This is the x coordinate of your vertex. Now this half, this value of x will be substituted in the original equation, and we can get the value of y for the another equation. So I will show you the calculation. So f, this y is calculated. Sorry, this y is f at half. What is the value of x calculated here? The value of x calculated here is half. So we will put the value of x as equal to half, and then use this equation. So half plus 2 and half minus 3. Is this okay? This becomes 5 over 2. You can see the calculation how. And this is into minus 5 over 2. Okay. You should know how to add this two number. This is a whole number. This is a fraction number. This is a whole number. This is a fraction number. This is a whole number. So this whole number you can change this into fraction number. Then you can do simplification. You will get 5 over 2. Likewise, you can do the same thing here, and you can get this result. Your final answer is negative 25 over 4. And this number and this number, this is the value of x, this is the value of your y. This together will give you the coordinate of your vertex. Right? Next question. In this, for this equation, the value of x for the vertex is x is equal to this plus this divided by 2. So 5 plus minus 5 divided by 2. 5 minus 5 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. So the value of your x for the vertex for this equation is 0. Now we will find the value of y for this value of x. So we can put the value of x as equal to 0. And now use this equation. So 0 minus 5 into 0 plus 5. This is 0 minus 5 is minus 5 into plus 5. Your answer is minus 25. So this pair of number 0 and minus 25 gives you the coordinate of your vertex. Now with this you might have very clearly understood. Yet we have 3 more questions, and I am going to complete these 3 questions also, so that by the end of this question you will not have at all any doubt in plotting the graph of a quadratic equation in the factored form. After this you will clearly have the information about the 3 things that you are calculating for plotting the graph of a quadratic equation in the factored form. Clear? So I'll continue. Okay. Now for this we will calculate the value of x. We will calculate the value of x. X will be now this plus this divided by 2. So minus 3 over 2 minus 1 over 2 divided by 2. Right? When you simplify this, it will become minus, this will give you minus 4 over 2. This numerator part will give you minus 4 over 2, and this 2 will go upside down, because I told you in a fractional number, if the numerator is a fractional number or denominator is a fractional number, then this division sign can always be converted into multiplication. So this 2 by 1, actually this is not 2, this is 2 by 1. So 2 by 1 will change into 1 over 2. And therefore your answer is -1, because 2 to the 4 and 4 over 4 is -1. So the value of x is -1. Value of x for this equation is -1. Now we have to find the value of y for this equation. So let us put the value of x as equal to what? The one which we have calculated here, -1 is equal to, put it here in this equation. So 2 into -1 plus 3, and then another 4 into -1 plus 2 is equal to -2 plus 3 is 1. -4 plus 2 is -2. -2. Answer of this is -2. So the y value of this equation is -2, and therefore that together this will give you the coordinate for your vertex. Clear? Now for this equation. For this equation, the value of x is the average of 2 minus 2 divided by 2 is equal to 0, because one is 2, another is 2, and then when you add it, it will become 0. 0 divided by 2 is equal to 0. So you got the value of x is equal to 0. Now we'll find the value of y for this equation. So we will calculate this value of y for x is equal to 0 is equal to, now let us put in the equation. So 3 into 0 minus 2, 0 minus 2 into 0 plus 2, 0 plus 2. This is equal to, this is -2 and this is +2. So 3 into -2 into +2. So 3 to the 6 to the 12. This is -12 because one of the quantity is negative, therefore the product is negative. Alright. Now the last equation is x is equal to -1 and x is equal to -2. Therefore your x in coordinate of vertex is average of these two. So -1 minus 2 divided by 2 is equal to -3 over 2. Is it alright? Now we'll find the value of y for this equation. So we'll calculate for x equal to -3 over 2. X equal to 3 over 2 is equal to, now in this equation, -2 first of all, -2 into x plus 3, and your x is calculated -3. So -3 over 2. -3 over 2 plus 1. Okay? And then x plus 2. That is -3 over 2 plus 2 is equal to, now -2 is as it is. When you simplify this, it will come as -half. It will come as -half. Now when you simplify this one, it will become +half. You can check this calculation and then see. Now this two cancel this two, and then there are two negative quantities, the result will become positive, so the answer is cheka, half. So this way we have completed the x coordinate and the y coordinate, the coordinate of the vertex for all these 5 equations. First of all, we have calculated the x-intercept and the y-intercept, and at the end now we have also calculated the coordinate of the vertex. The last part of this question C, which I am leaving for you because I have done all the calculation. I have calculated all the 3 things. One is the coordinate of the x-intercept, then the y-intercept, and last one is the vertex. So all 3 things are calculated. Now for you, you just need to do some exercise. So that will be your assignment. You have to plot the graph for all the 5 equations. Calculations are already done. You can use this calculation and you can plot the graph of all these 5 equations. This will make you very comfortable in plotting the graph of a quadratic equation in the factored form. With this, thank you so much. Have a nice day.